Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. Today we're checking out a Z370 motherboard. This is my first time doing a Z370 review, and it's the MSI Gaming Pro Carbon AC. So let's jump right into it then with the key features. So of course this motherboard is going to be able to take all of your new Intel 8000 series CPUs. I tested it with the new i7 8700K. Now it can take up to 64 gigabytes of dual channel DDR4 memory at up to 4000 megahertz, and it has RGB on the sides and on the chipset if you like that kind of thing. Now it also comes with double ESD protection, which that's good, I suppose. I didn't really think it was a problem, but yeah, I suppose that's good. And it does come with their military class 5 components, that is good, and that should help with the lifespan of the motherboard. Audio-wise, it's coming with the ALC 1220 codec, which is one we see a lot now, with separated audio layers and Chemicon audio capacitors, so that's really nice, and the audio is very clean on this motherboard. So let's move over to layout then, and work from top to bottom. So on the top left there, we have an RGB header beside an 8-pin CPU power connector. Then we have the 10-phase VRM with nice looking heat sinks on top, similar to what I saw on the Z270 Gaming Pro Carbon, I believe. Then we have a CPU fan header beside the steel reinforced RAM slots, which look absolutely awesome. I really like the look of them. Then there's the J Corsair 1 header, which is for their own RGB LED strips. Then we have the pump fan header, another system fan header, and an easy debug LED readout. So this is a much more basic one, which some people may have an issue with. Now, then you have the motherboard power connector beside an upward and right angled USB 3.1 Gen 1 headers. That's decent to see. Then if we move more towards the middle, we have another fan connector, system fan connector, and a PCIe x4 M.2 slot. Now let's look at the slots then. So you get 3 PCIe 3.0 x 16 slots and 3 PCIe 3.0 x 1 slots. So that means you get support for, times 16 times 4, times 16 times 0 times 4, I should say. That's for your single GPU use, and you can do times 8 times 8 times 4 if you're wanting to run multiple GPUs there. Down the bottom, you also get another M.2 slot, although if you're using both of the M.2s, that will limit you to 4 SATA ports, so keep that in mind. Now over by them, on the right-hand side, we do have the 4 SATA 6 ports that I just mentioned, and another fan header. And then down the bottom we have the J Rainbow header, which is another one if you require more RGB LED strips. 2 more SATA 6 ports with a JSPI header above them. Now if you don't know what that is, that's basically to help you if you have a dead BIOS or something like that. Then we get 2 USB 2.0 headers, a front panel header, and more LED headers. Then we get a TPM module connector, some people like that, another fan header, more RGB headers, and front panel audio connector, so pretty standard there. Let's move around to the rear I/O, and we'll work left to right. So we have a PS2 port above 2 USB 2.0 ports. Then we have a display port, that's interesting to see, beside 2 by USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type A and Type C port. So that's going to be good there. We're seeing the slow rollout of Type C ports, but it's starting to work its way in. Then we have 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports above that HDMI port you see there, an RJ45 Ethernet port above 2 more USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, and then you have all your gold-plated audio connections there. Now let's move over to the BIOS. So there's only one BIOS right now, the 7B45 one, but it seems pretty good, so that's fine. I really like the BIOS itself. It's easy enough for newer users to use it without too many issues, but it's also complicated enough, has enough features that the enthusiasts will really like it. It's very well-rounded. That's basically how I'd put it. So with the 8700K, I managed 5 gigahertz on it, no worries at all, at 1.37 volts, and that was very solid there. So the BIOS itself, I would say, is very straightforward. It has everything you need in it. It's not overly complicated, but it's not too basic either. I just find it to be probably one of the most well-rounded BIOSes that I see on many of the motherboards I test. Which brings us now to the conclusion then. And what do I make of the MSI Z370 Gaming Pro Carbon AC? So this is my first Z370 review, so I don't have much to compare it to. And of course I just look mainly focused on the motherboard itself, not everything else that it comes with, just the core motherboard, because that's the most important thing. And this motherboard has been fantastic to use so far. I really haven't had any issues. The only cons I would say is that if it had a full debug readout, that would be nice. And as a reviewer, having onboard buttons is also nice if you're going to be using it on a test bench, although I'm not sure how much regular users would really care about those. So aside from those sort of minor cons, it's a very, very solid motherboard. I just have no complaints when it comes to it. So yeah, even though this is my first Z370 review, I can say this is a very solid motherboard, and I would highly recommend it. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.